Hi again, crafters, it's Cynthia. I am here to make a quick little card that I thought would be very cute, and I kind of wanted to do something where I could make some clouds. So that was my inspiration behind creating this card. So the first thing that I did is I took a piece of my Nina Solar White paper, and I took one of these stitched mini scallop rectangle stacks dies, and I think it is the second largest die that I used, and I cut it out so that I could get this really cute little scalloped edge and then a line of stitching. So this is from My Favorite Things, and it is still available. So if you want to get something like that, you can just go to their website and they will have it. So in order to create the clouds, I just went ahead and took some more pieces of cardstock, and I use the same Nina because it's 80 pound and it has a nice weight to it. So I just took it and cut it into multiple, I did several of them, and I just, so see, you can see kind of how they fit together again. But I did this one kind of medium, medium bumps, and this one I did much larger swooping clouds, and then this one I did a smaller line. And I laid it down on the edge of my paper and took my ink daubers, and I used a couple of distress inks, and I just kind of tapped at the end against the edge of this shape. And when I lifted it, I had this little line of puffy clouds. So it's a really neat effect, and it's quite simple, and especially the fact that you get to cut your own little templates very easily. You can do whatever you want. So that is a really handy little trick. And the two colors that I used are the tumbled glass and the weathered wood. And I tried to add in the stormy sky, which was of course darker, and you can see a little bit here at the top where there's the darker colors, but they were a little heavy-handed. So by the time I was down here, I was just using these two lighter shades. So that is my cloudy background. And then I have a stamp set, which is again from My Favorite Things, and it's called Rainbow of Happiness. And the idea here is that you've got these words here. There's color, rainbow, and rainbows. And then you get to use these three words within the other stamping. So see, this one has a blank, and it says, "You blank my world." So you would say, "You color my world." And I hope your day is all sunshine and rainbows, and on and on. So the one I chose is one that says, "You are like a rainbow after the storm." And the area that's going to say rainbow is currently blank. So I am going to stamp that right as much as I can right in the center of this little cloudy piece. And to do that, I'm just going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black because, like I've mentioned before, it's a very crisp, sharp black ink, which is nice for sentiments, and especially because these words are pretty small. And you just saw me rubbing this stamp across my palm because I've never used it before, and so what I'm doing is removing the initial thin layer of glossy stickiness from that photopolymer, just so that it can accept the ink better. So I just tapped that on, and I'm gonna do my best to find basically the center. Give that a nice little press. There, like a blank after the storm. And then I will fill that blank with the word rainbow. And I wanted to show you that I could go ahead and stamp this word in anything that I would like. I could use a nice embossing powder or some ombre inking or whatever. But I also have the Rainbows Dynamics. And in this, there is the word rainbow written in a pretty script. And that's the one I chose. And what I did is a little trick, because again, I wanted to use my clouds, and then I also wanted to use some of my deco foil. And so I have a package, and this will be interesting on film. So I have a package of this beautiful rainbow foil, and who knows what the glare is like, I apologize. So this is gorgeous, of course, and what I did is I just took a piece of scrap cardstock. It could have been any color. I just happened to have this little scrap of raspberry on my desk. And what I did is I laid it down and I took a little bit of double-sided tape. So I think what I'm going to do, because I don't mind, I'm going to take a little scrap piece of paper here. And this is a roll of double-sided adhesive from Elizabeth Crafts. And this comes in many different widths. I just recently bought the 5/8 width. So I will use that. And I'm just gonna start laying down some layers of this. And I'm just gonna try to butt them up against each other here. And this is a trick that I've done many times. You can use this foil in a lot of different ways, but when I first got my foil, I really didn't have anything. I didn't have a laminator, I didn't have toner sheets, you know, nothing like that. But I did have double-sided tape. So this is how I started playing. And then because the word is long and narrow this way, I wanted my rainbow striping to also run horizontally like this, so that the colors would change as they moved from left to right. So if I had it turned this way, I would only get 2 different colors, which of course would be lovely, but I wanted the whole rainbow. So I made sure I turned my paper, and then I clipped off a little piece. And this is bigger than the last one, so I'll make it taller. You don't have to pre-cut your foil. You can just lay the whole sheet down, because the rest of the foil you don't use is still usable. But anyway, I'm just going to cut off a piece, and then I'm going to lift up, let me move that. I'm going to lift up the cover on the tape. And then this is something very important to remember, that if this is the surface, this will become the surface that I use. So I want the foil face up. I want the pretty colors facing me. I do not want to lay it face down like this and then pull away the release, because all I'm going to see is this matte silver. So making sure that it's facing me, I will lay this down. And the other thing I discovered is that when I did this the first time, I accidentally ruined it, because I took my bone folder and I really pressed it completely flat, and I actually disturbed the foil and ruined it. So you don't want to do that. So just burnishing gently with your finger is all you need to do. And I'm just making sure that the tape and the foil are making full contact. Okay, and then you just gently lift up the edge if you can. Good heavens. All right, lift up the edge, and you'll feel resistance. It'll either slide off really easy, or you'll feel resistance. Now I feel like, see, I did press too hard. So that isn't the prettiest impression. So you'll have to pardon me. If this had worked perfectly, then. But see what I did? By pressing too hard, that tape, because it really is so very sticky, that tape kind of took over. But you get the general idea here. And this one that I did over here did turn out well. So I was able to use it. So sorry that my example wasn't good. Anyway, so take my panel back, and now that I've gotten the stamping done, I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of foam because I want this to pop up just a little bit from the surface of my card. And then because the distress inks are quite wet, this is fully dried, but it did warp a little bit. And so this nice big piece of foam will help stabilize it. And then also what I did is I took one of my new little spritz bottles and I filled it with just a scoop of Perfect Pearls and mixed it in with my water, gave it a really nice shake, and then spritzed the front of the card just very gently with a little fine mist. And that kind of softened some of the imperfections in my ink blending, and it also left behind just the softest little sheen, which is hard to see in person and is probably even harder to see on camera. So I have no idea if you can see any of that. It's just a soft sheen. Anyway, it is pretty. So here is the word rainbow that I cut out correctly with my pretty rainbow paper. So that is really, and I want that word to really be the focus. So I love how bold that it is. And you can see that I really did get the entire rainbow of color running across that word. And I do have a dot for the eye, but I'll fuss with that in a moment. So, since this word is rather petite, I'm going to get my Zig two-way glue pen and make sure that the tip isn't sticky. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some dots here of this nice strong glue. I have another one of these with a wider tip, which is good for bigger areas, but this one just has a little ball tip in there, like a ballpoint pen, and it's wonderful for all these fine little pieces here. So I'm just going to find a spot that looks good. I really do want to get, I do have a laminator now, and I want to get some toner sheets and other things like that to play with my foils, because the double-sided tape trick, it works just fine, but as you saw, it can be very touchy, and you don't want to go to all the trouble of foiling something and then having it turn out poorly. And you don't want to waste all your foil. I mean, let's face it. It's so pretty. When you get foil, you want to use it, and you want to use all of it. Okay. So let me get this little dot down. Very, very cute. Now I'm not going to touch it again because I really want this to set up well. This glue dries quickly, but it is absolutely a liquid at first, so you want to give it a minute to get some grip. Okay, so I'll set that aside briefly, and the rest of the card is going to be very basic. If I can find what I did with my pieces. So what do I have here? I have got my typical A2 card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 side folding card, but I want it to open up in this orientation, so it's going to be a top folding card. And I found this piece of beautiful blue cardstock from Die Cuts with a View, and it was from my little matte stack collection. I just bought, and actually this was from years ago, I bought a little 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 inch pad, and it's just loaded with solid colored cardstocks with this real pretty kind of a textured surface to it, so it's very pretty. So this I just cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so that it would be a little bit smaller than the card base. There we go. And see, I can put my tape runner. I just want to make sure that I can see that the tape is actually on there. And then again, I'm going to just find the center, just roughly. I don't get too panicky. I'm pretty good at just kind of eyeballing it. And if it looks good to your eye, that's all you need. And again, I'm not disturbing that word because I still want that to dry really well. So there you go. You're like a rainbow after the storm. I think that's lovely. And a final little embellishment. I had recently gotten some more of the Nouveau crystal drops in this pretty kind of pearlized silver. So I went ahead and just made a whole bunch of little dots. And I think I'm just going to scatter a few of those around. So you can use many different kinds of adhesives. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use my pen because it's here. So I think, and to get these off, I generally just fold. They're on just little pieces of acetate. And, oops, I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to gently pry them up. Sometimes you can just fold the paper a little bit and it pops up on its own. So here's a good sized one. And I've noticed you can definitely put the Nouveau crystal drops directly onto the cardstock, but I noticed that they don't spread out as much and they tend to stay a lot higher. Which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but then they're more likely to get in the way, they're more likely to be disturbed or popped off accidentally or things like that. So I like to put them on plastic or acetate, and then they spread out really nicely, and then when I want to use them, I just pop them right off of the plastic. So let's see. And I'm not sure, I know I've seen the Nouveau crystal drops in particular for sale at Craft Warehouse, and there's available many places online. Because when I was looking at Craft Warehouse, the black was completely wiped out and things like that. So if you want your best selection, just find a shop online that sells all of them. And then you can do a little bit of price comparison as well. There's that, and then I'm going to use one more. I think I want a larger one again. There. Oh, that looks so sweet. So see? Very, very cute. All right, so that is my card project for today. I hope that you had fun, and I hope that you'll consider giving some of that foil a try. Like I said, you might want to do a little poking around on YouTube and watch how all the different ways that you can use it, and you might find something that you really want to do or that you prefer, or maybe you already have all the tools on hand that you need to use them. So go ahead and branch out and start playing with them, because once you do, I think you're going to get hooked like all the rest of us. So take care of yourselves, have a wonderful day crafting, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.